Hi, in this video I'd like to talk about the control structure repetition iteration. Now repetition and iteration, they're just two words for the same thing. We're basically learning how to use loops. A way where we can repeat code. That's pretty much it. So if there's something that you need to repeat, you don't want to write it 100 times, you only need to write it once, and then you'll get this control structure to just repeat that. Now there's two types of loops that I'll cover within this video or video series. The first is the for loop, or we call it the control loop, and the second will be the while loop. Ultimately, if you only know the while loop, you can pretty much do any form of repetition. But the control loop has a very specific reason that it's used, and I'll show you why it's a little bit better to use in certain circumstances. So let's get started. So what I've done here is I've created a new form using loops. I'll just set it as startup, and I won't put any buttons. I'll just double click straight into form load and show you the for loop. Let's assume you wanted to print the numbers 1 to 10. So actually we'll go back to the form and we'll chuck in a text box, and we'll set multi-line to true because I want to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever. So when the form loads, I want it to print off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So normally, without any loops, this is what you do. Have I labeled this? No, I should call it something. Let's call it txt output. All right. So normally what you will do is you go txt output equals to txt output plus 1, then you will plus an environment dot new line. Now txt output dot text is what I need to put in. So right now this would be empty. You're adding this by 1, wrong language again, and then you add a new line. Just going to copy that, and paste it, and put 2. I'm going to copy that, paste it, put 3. Didn't need a copy again, but anyway. And let's play that. And you can see here 1, 2, 3. Now imagine I wanted to go to 100. I would have to paste this thing at another 97 times. And what if I wanted to go to 1,000? Again, it's going to take a lot of work. It takes, we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a for loop. So we're going to use for. This is how you write a for loop. You go for, open bracket. You choose a variable. Any variable is fine. Most programmers just use the number I, but I want to make it a little bit more meaningful. Because we're counting from 1 to 10, I'm going to use count just to make it a little bit more meaningful. And I'm going to start at 1. I'll put the semicolon, and then I'll go count. I want to end at 10, so keep counting if I'm less than or equal to 10. And finally, I want to go up by 1. So I'm going to go count plus plus. Almost wrong language again. I've been programming JavaScript recently and I keep using the wrong language. It's count equals 0 to 10. Much easier than the other syntax. So count equals some starting value, oh not 0, 1 starting value to some end value 10. So this is 1 and the end number I want to have at some point is 10. Right, so whatever. So now I know that I want to count from 0 to 10. I want to do this line of code. But you notice here, count is changing. Let me show you. I will put a message box in here just to show you what's happening. Not show. I'll show you what's happening to count. Alright, so let's run it. Okay, 1, 2. So this value is count. You notice count is changing. It's changing. It changes. It keeps changing. So we now know that this variable is changing. So we can use this variable instead with this line of code. And the thing that we need to change is this 10 here. It's supposed to go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. So instead of in here, we can just use count to string. Just use count. And what I'll do is I'll delete all of that. And what we're doing is we're repeating this line 10 times. It's 1 to 10. And every time we repeat it, this count is changing from 1 to 10. And we put it in here. So this thing is changing. This part is changing. Watch. And there you go. Now you got 1 to 10. Now, of course, if I shove that to 100, we'll go down to 100. And there you go. That's how you use a for loop.